for some of you, this is not your first time in this room for a ceremony such as this, and so you know that I take special note when I have either a bill signing or a proclamation commemoration of the opportunity it gives whoever is governor to make special mention and to pay particular attention to those elements of our society and our world here in Hawaii that in many instances is unique and special. Today, it is another one of those days for me, not just for Hawaii, but in recognition of what makes our democracy unique. I have with me my battered copy of the Constitution. This is in its, I don't know, fourth or fifth iteration, I think, since the one that I got many, many years ago from Spark Matsunaga. As a matter of fact, when I was in the state, just first in the state legislature, and went to hear him at Arcadia, and he made it a point to give copies of the Constitution out, and I've tried to keep that at least for my all the time in my in my briefcase, and refer to it especially when I get lectured about the Second Amendment. I do the lecturing on the First Amendment, but on the second one, on the Second Amendment, and just to make sure that I know I'm right about it. But this day then, or this bill, excuse me, with respect to interestingly enough, entitled "Relating to Holidays," which has a kind of festive note to it in that sense. And this is less about a holiday, that is to say, oh, do I get to take a vacation from something? Do I get to not ignore something, but do I distance myself from something? A holiday, it's kind of a free-form idea. It's not a contradiction, but it's kind of an irony, at least, that what we're referring to today in Civil Liberties and Constitution Day, it has the exact opposite effect for us. This causes us to reflect. This causes us to think a little bit more about what we might otherwise take as an obvious fact of life, or take a little bit for granted. Not because we're indifferent or indisposed to think seriously about what the Constitution is about or what civil liberties are about, but it always seems to require a crisis of some kind in order to get us to focus our attention in the midst of all of our other cares and preoccupations. And so, from my point of view, I couldn't be more delighted to have the opportunity in my role as governor to sign this bill today, and to be able to thank those who helped to put it together. Particularly, I know Senator Ihara is here. I have the SB856 HD1, my little summary, and I found it very, very interesting. Senator Ihara, Senator Ruderman, and Senator Solomon were among the original signers of it, and I think that Representative Takai and others helped carry it through in the House of Representatives. It establishes January 30th. This is the summary. Here's your official summary. Establishes January 30th of each year as Civil Liberties and Constitution Day to celebrate, honor, and educate the public about various individuals' commitment to preserving civil liberties. And that's what I wanted to emphasize, if you'll grant me just another moment or two. Is that it's one thing to get and it is important factor, no question, to be in a forum or a seminar. I see the head of the law school is here, to receive a learned lecture, perhaps even from a constitutional attorney like the President of the United States, who even today is striving mightily to make sure that everyone understands that he does understand the Constitution himself. with regard to the Fourth Amendment. I mean, we can do a whole seminar here today, can we not?
Right.
Pretty soon. But in the end, though, it comes down to the talent in the room. The Chief Justice is nodding his head. He's heard me say before, almost always when I have the opportunity to be at the investiture of a judge or a justice, even of the Supreme Court, that the Constitution does not guarantee anything. It does not guarantee good government. This Constitution guarantees the opportunity for good government. It depends on the talent in the room, whether we have it. And the talent in the room is especially recognized, and I think perhaps I can't speak for the senator and others in the legislature per se on this, but I dare say they won't contradict me if I say that there is an inspiration behind this bill in terms of the individuals that I'm just going to name today. They're just a couple that the list is long, and particularly long here in Hawaii. But Fred Korematsu, obviously, for those who may not know as much about Fred as we might like, and for good reason, because much of the knowledge about Fred Korematsu and what he was doing, or Gordon Hirabayashi, Minya Sui, or Mitsui Endo, these aren't names that were necessarily readily available to anybody, because they were going against the tide, going very much against the tide of opinion and history at the time. But they persevered. This bill represents a commitment, a focus, a dedication, individually undertaken, and sometimes very, very lonely as a result. Not because it wasn't done for private reasons. I'm differentiating between individualism and privatism. These were individuals who took individual actions that reflect directly upon what our Constitution is all about. But they didn't do it for private reasons. It wasn't an isolated act in that sense, even of defiance. It was, I think I can safely say on the part of everyone, that this was an expression of fundamental values that were universal in their eyes, that everyone was entitled to. Entitled to in one sense, but also obligated in the other sense to see that they were carried through upon, and that they were doing it. And whatever venue that took place, whether it was a fighting internment, no matter how it manifested itself, that they felt that they were manifesting what it takes in order to defend and uphold the Constitution as a free man or woman in a free society. So it's an opportunity for us then to not have me necessarily speak for them other than by reference, to have the daughter of one of the folks that I mentioned, of Fred Korematsu, Karen, here today, and I was hoping that perhaps she might say a few words that could perhaps amplify a little bit on my more general remarks. Karen? Please.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming here today, because certainly this is a very special occasion. The springboard for this was thanks to Governor Abercrombie, who proclaimed January 30th of this year as Fred Korematsu Day for the state of California. And then we were able to really educate teachers and students about not only my father's story, but about the Japanese American internment and how it relates to our issues today of national security and immigration. And so I would also like to thank Senator O'Hara, who, along with Senators Ruderman and Solomon, introduced the bill. And then, in particular, Representative Mark Takai, who took that bill and made it what it is today by really honoring everyone that had really fought for civil rights and our Constitution. And one person that I know that's not here today is Professor Eric Yamamoto, who is also supportive of that, who is now the Fred Korematsu professor at the University of Hawaii School of Law. And so with this opportunity, the Department of Education here in Hawaii has been just fabulous to really take hold of this opportunity, because that's what it is. It's an opportunity for education from K through 12. And we've been going along with teachers' workshops and talking to students, and thanks to Rosanna Fukuda and Kathy Sakuda and Leanne Ebisukawa for supporting the educational effort that is so important and helps the state as well as the stories nationally. So thank you for inviting me today, and thank you again, Governor. It's quite an honor.
Oh, thank you very much. Karen mentioned the January 30th and Fred Korematsu Day, and I think it's only appropriate then that the bill establishes Civil Liberties and Constitution Day on January 30th. And from what we've been able to gather about Fred, that's would much be his preference. I'm sure he would be much less interested in a Fred Korematsu Day or any other individual than what that designation would represent in terms of the bigger issue that was involved. I do want to say, by the way, I mentioned in passing Mitsuya Endo. She was the female resistor to the internment. And she fought mightily through right to the Supreme Court as well. So this was there was no gender discrimination in terms of fidelity to constitutional principles here. So at this stage, then, I think it remains for me to get this chair. Yes. At one time, I actually signed these by standing and doing it, and I subsequently discovered, as Avi will no doubt be able to affirm, that means you bend over this way in order to do it, and the shine from my head was so bright that nobody could tell what I was doing. Do I have a witness? Okay, very good. You know, this really is a lot of fun. I really do. It's great. To think that a kid, could come to Hawaii and then have the chance to do something like this it speaks about what civil liberties and what freedom's all about. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to your dad. Done.
Okay, you hold up your Constitution too.
This.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Very good. Now we need to take some holy pictures. Anybody who would like to have their picture taken, shall we do it with the letter? Les, why don't you and Mark come up, and we'll take them with the legislators that are here. If anybody else